Welcome to Z2Edit, the ROM editor for Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Z2Edit allows you to view and edit the Zelda 2 overworlds. It allows you to view and edit the side view combat areas, including the area layout, connections, and enemies. It allows you to change Link's starting values at the beginning of the game, including attack levels, number of heart containers, and items. And Z2Edit allows you to apply miscellaneous hacks, such as the ability to walk anywhere on the overworld. In the future, more hacks will be added. Let's begin with a relatively simple change to the Zelda 2 overworld. So we'll use the overworld editor, and using the arrow keys we can pan around in the overworld. What I'm going to do is just change the location of North Palace. So we can select a chunk of the map and use a typical Control-C, Control-V sequence to copy and paste. Let's just put North Palace a bit more to the west. And now let's clean up the leftovers from moving the map around. So I'll just clear this all out with grass and redraw the road a little bit. And you'll notice that there's this 0, 0 here. This is the connection that links the side view North Palace area to the overworld. We need to manually move this to the new location of North Palace, which is a few tiles to the left and one tile north. Now that we've made this simple change to the overworld, let's commit the change to the ROM and try it out. So I'm running my modified ROM in FCEUX. I've already got a save file. So I start the game in North Palace as usual. And when I exit North Palace, I am now in the new location. There are many other things that you can change on the overworld, including encounter destinations for random side view encounters, and the north-south dividing line between the two different styles of overworld encounters. The connections editor, as we've seen from moving North Palace, lets you change where overworld connections to other areas are. And of course, as always, when you change the overworld, you must commit your changes to the ROM when you're happy with them. Now let's make a change to one of the side view areas. We can use the side view editor, and let's take a look at area 33, which is Trophy Cave. So as you know from playing the vanilla game, that you have to retrieve the trophy in order to learn the spell of jump. But Trophy Cave, of course, doesn't challenge you with any sort of jump agility, so maybe we should change that. So let's make Trophy Cave just a little bit harder. First thing is, let's make getting the item just a bit harder. So I've raised the height of the platform that you must jump onto in order to retrieve the trophy. But maybe that's not quite enough. So let's also examine the entryway of Trophy Cave. Many of the commands in the map list are for adjusting the height of the floor, so let's take a look at that. Let's start with a height of 3 at the entrance. Okay. maybe 1. All right, so now at the entryway, you have to do a 3-tile high jump, get past the bat and the Octoroks, and then do another 3-tile high jump to retrieve the trophy. So let's commit it to the ROM and give it a try. And I'm still running my ROM from the previous session with the modified overworld, so we'll also start in the new location. And now that we've made a simple modification to a side view area, let's do a slightly more complicated modification. So suppose we wanted to increase the length of the Parappa cave, which is currently only one 4-screen cave long. We can view the Parappa cave area with the multi-map editor, and we can see that there's a single cave and that its up and down exits, which are illegal, go to North Palace. And this is typical for all of the linked side view areas on the overworld. So let's view the Parappa cave, and this is the same side view editor that we saw before. And let's make this twice as long. So it should be 2 caves long instead of 1. I'm going to just start by making the second part of Parappa Cave be a copy of the first part. So I'm going to use the swap and copy tool. I'm going to pick an area that I know is unused. West Hyrule 3 is actually, if you were to look, is a copy of North Palace. So let's copy Parappa Cave to West Hyrule 3. And then using the connections list, let's set the left exit to go to West Hyrule 3. And since we're exiting on the left, we'll enter West Hyrule 3 on the right. So we want to enter on the 3rd screen. Let's commit this to the ROM. And now let's view area 3. So we can see this is a copy, and it's to the left of West Hyrule 7. Now, it's identical, which is kind of boring, so let's change it just a little bit. Before we change it, let's remember to edit the connection. So the right exit out of West Hyrule 3 should go into the left side of West Hyrule 7. And let's change this louder to something else. Maybe since it's in the beginning of the game, it should be fairly simple. So how about a jumping Octorok? And let's change the layout of the cave just a little bit. So let's take this bit of rock floor and extend it. And I don't know, maybe somewhere in the middle, let's add a lava pit. So just before the rock floor, let's add something. So the default item 0 is the headstone, which is not what we want, but before we change it, let's get it into the position that we do want. It's actually behind. So let's put it right here, and let's see what we can change this to. So there's quite a few different things that you can use to build the side view areas. I'm interested in a lava pit. Now, lava pits have a fixed location, so the Y position doesn't make any difference. So let's, since it's 3 high, let's move it into the middle of this modified floor area. And let's make it 2 wide. And let's see how that works. So let's commit this to the ROM, commit our other changes to the ROM, and let's just verify on the multi-map editor. So let's refresh it. We can see now that we have West Hyrule 3 and 7 left-right linked. Their top exits go to North Palace, which is typical because you can't exit top or bottom. So those are standard error exits. And let's remember that on the overworld, we've changed the left-hand side. So the left cave entry needs to go to area 3 instead. So let's give it a try. So we enter area 7 as usual. But now, instead of exiting, we enter what is now area 3, jump our hazard, destroy the Octorok, and exit north as expected. And when we return through, we enter into the new area, leap over the lava hazard, and go back into the legacy old Parappa Cave. And when we finally exit, we exit on the south side as expected. A feature looked at only briefly in this previous segment is the multi-map viewer. So let's look at the multi-map viewer for a larger area such as Palace 1. The multi-map viewer shows you all the connections in an area, and for large connected areas such as palaces, the multi-map can be quite big. So we can see all of the rooms in Palace 1 and how they're connected to each other, including the left-right connections, up-down connections, and then all of the gray lines represent so-called illegal connections, which are typically top and bottom connections from a room that doesn't have top and bottom exits. We can also notice that there are a few connections in the palace that are illegal or connections you could never make use of. For example, the room with the ferry in it has a right exit into the item room. But of course, you can't actually ever use that connection. But the multi-map viewer shows you that the connection table has that connection in it. Let's take a quick look at the collapsing bridge room. We'll notice that on the collapsing bridge there are actually 2 P bags, but one of them is disabled, and this is disabled with the item availability table. In the original game, this area was probably reused between a couple different areas, and the item availability table lets you control which items in the map command list are actually present in the room. So lastly, you can use the multi-map viewer to ensure that when you modify the connections table, that your connections actually go where you want them to go, and that you have the correct left-right connections between an area that you intended. Let's now cover the start values. These control the attack levels, heart containers, and other items that Link has at the beginning of the game. So let's level Link halfway up to 444. And let's give him a couple extra lives. Downstab, upstab, shield, and the candle. And now let's try it out. Now, I have a save file from before, and so the values in my save file do not come from the start values table. In order to make that happen, let's eliminate my current save file and then register a new one. Now we can see I have 444 and 5 lives, and when I look at the menu, I have shield and the candle. Let's also take a quick look at the miscellaneous hacks, of which there's only one at the moment, which is the ability to walk anywhere in the overworld. This is not necessarily something that you would want to put in a ROM for other people to play, but in order to explore and debug your own ROM, you may want to turn this on. So with the walk anywhere hack, I can start the game, and when I'm on the overworld, I can walk on any kind of terrain. Now, I'm still horribly slow. I have this neat encounter area when you take an encounter on the mountain, and in fact, all illegal encounters go to that area. So, by using the Walk Anywhere hack, we can quickly explore the overworld and examine changes that are not necessarily visible when you start.